Hey y'all, so we have started recording and I'm excited to be talking with Randy and Amy from Kutandara up in Boulder. And why don't you guys just say hi and tell us what you are, who you are, and what you are.
Here's
Hi, peeps. So my name is Amy Stewart McIntosh, and I'm the program director here at Kutandara Center in Boulder, Colorado.
I'm Randy McIntosh. I'm the music director here.
And we started Kutandara Center in 1999, and our goal was to really expose a lot more people to Zimbabwean music. And in order to do that, we realized that we had to teach people how to play it so that we could start a band. So in 1999, we started offering a few classes and grooming some players to be able to play marimbas with us in our band, Kutandara. And I'm happy to say that in 2013, we're still going strong.
Nice. So how did you guys first get into the music? What was the first exposure?
A good friend of mine at the University of Colorado played this music and invited me to play music with him. And
Who was that?
that's Chris Zorn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he lives in Hawaii now, and I think he's still playing this
I
music.
actually just met him this last summer when I was in Hawaii for the first time. He's
Yeah.
still playing in Mbira, so.
Great guy. And he was the Pied Piper of marimba and mbira music at the time. And then I joined a band with him and this other crazy girl. And we had a great time together. And then Chris moved away and we decided we wanted to continue on. Chris had taught us all of the music. And so we said, what are we going to do now? And that's when I started composing music for marimba and mbira. And we also started getting really dedicated to bringing teachers into this area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and about that same time when he was playing with Chris in the band Ukama, I had started taking marimba lessons from Chris. I had seen a student recital of his at a high school locally and was completely transfixed. I sat in the middle of the dance floor crying all night. And then I went up to Chris after the show and just said, ah, ah, ah. And he said, yes, you can take classes. And I said, And he said, come to my studio. And I just got really obsessed really fast. Like, I think that's a story that most of us have. You know, if it touches your heart, it touches your heart immediately. And that was kind of the end of my other life and the beginning of my Zimbabwean music life. And through studying with Chris, Randy and I got to know each other. We played in a trio with Chris, as Randy mentioned. And then when Chris moved away, we didn't want to stop. And so we continued rehearsing and practicing. And I encouraged Randy to start a class where he would teach his compositions. And that quickly spread like wildfire. And we had a lot of adult students interested in Randy's compositions in the style. And we built a youth program simultaneously. So since then, we've been working with adults and kids in the Boulder area, and still passionate after all these years.
Yeah, just keeps growing, huh? I was looking at your guys' website, and it was dizzying to see the number of groups and classes, and each class is like a different group. How many groups now? How many groups are you running, directing, fostering?
I think it's dizzying to see. You should try running all that stuff.
There's somewhere between 15 and 20 per week at any given semester. We have between 6 and 8 kids classes. We have between 3 and 5, depending on how you slice the pie, youth ensembles or pre-ensembles, and then somewhere between 8 and 10 adult classes. And then there's the band, which is a mix of teens and adults from our most advanced classes. And that's plenty to keep us busy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Y'all are doing wonderful work in spreading the music. So thank you for that work, for sure.
Thanks.
So let's transition. I know y'all just released a new CD. So we're going to play a track off of that. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the CD?
Yeah, we're super excited. This is Kutandara's 4th album. and it's called Oceans. The title track of the CD is an original composition that Randy wrote. There's a number of original compositions on the CD, and it's a 2-disc set. We're really excited about the amount of music we're able to put out into the world. It's almost 2 hours of music. And one of the really popular tracks that Randy wrote that's kind of spread all over the country now is a song called Moon and Stars. And maybe, Randy, you could tell the story about Moon and Stars.
Well, the first thing that I think is special about Moon and Stars on this album is that Amy sings on it, and she sings on all of the tracks on the album except for one. And the engineer was really able to capture Amy's musicianship and style in a sweet way. So we have some more traditional Zimbabwean tracks where Amy sings in Shona and really has a belting, strong voice, highly energetic. And on this song, she actually took the microphone and kind of put it in a way where she was almost cradling it with her hands and sang down to it like she was singing to a baby. And the lyrics are a poem that I wrote for our daughter, Eliza, after she was born. So that's just a real sweet, extra special moment that's on our CD that I hope people enjoy.
Nice. So this is Moon and Stars off the new CD. What's the CD called again? Oceans?
Oceans.
All right, this is Moon and Stars.
Shoot for the stars. This time is yours. This time is ours. Dance with the moon. Dream with the stars. Sing a celestial lullaby. Together we'll let go and fly. In a celestial lullaby. Together we'll fly. We watch the moon shoot past the stars. This time, this moment is ours. To dance and sing, to laugh and dream, to let go and fly. Let go and fly. Little bird, let's see you fly. Little bird, my sweet little bird, I wanna see you fly. Spread your wings and let yourself go. Feel the wind on your face. Watch the world as it dances in the air. Feel what it's like to be free. This moment is yours. This time is ours. Let's use it to soar past the moon and shoot for the stars. Lullaby, sweet lullaby. Lullaby, lullaby, yeah. fresh cut grass, gazing with you to the sky. I feel your grace, I wanna dance through the air and watch the world spinning by. When I look in your eyes, I wanna fly. When I look in your eyes, I wanna fly. Let go and fly. We watch the moon, we shoot for the stars, we let go and fly, dance with the moon, dream with the stars, lullaby, lullaby, let go and fly.
So that was Moon and Stars from the new Kutandara CD, Oceans. That was beautiful. That was great. So Randy, that was your composition
Yes.
and your poem for your daughter, for both of
Yeah.
your daughters. That was, I really love the horns. I love the stabbing nature, the stabbing rhythmic nature, and also the voicings of it. It was really cool. You can tell that I am guessing that it seems like you really put a lot of like you know what the hell you're doing. So how was it working with those horns to make that? Or is that a common thing? Do you guys do that a lot?
You know, we have two horn players in our band that are really close friends of ours. Kurt Ehrenman's been in our band for 8 years, I think. His son used to be in one of our youth bands, and we got him involved with us. And that started our relationship with horn players. It just sounds so much better to have a bunch of horn players than just one. And so we had Kurt record 2 tracks on the CD, an alto sax track and a tenor sax track. And then our friend John Bubba Stubbs, he played the trombone on this as well. He's a local music teacher and amazing musician in many different rights, and we're just blessed to have them both in our band.
Nice. Since you've already started on it, do you want to tell us who's in the band?
Oh my gosh.
Is there time?
Sometimes Randy can't remember my name, so I'll do the band. So Randy's our music director. He plays marimba with the group. I sing and play hosho. And then we've got a number of marimba players: David Simon, Becca Chuncanelli, Jesse Larson, Maggie Jackson, Brianna Wilson, and Claire Kruger, who's now away at school, but she recorded that album with us. And then on the album, Wilson Fanistel was our drum kit player. And then Randy mentioned our 2 horn players, Kurt Ehrenman and John Stubbs.
Nice.
I hope I remembered everybody.
If anybody that was forgotten, I'm sure they were loved.
Whoever you are, we love you.
Awesome.
We just
So
had a fun opportunity to record a music video at our local paper, the Daily Camera, is doing this series called Second Story Garage. They have a room that they've kind of outfitted as a garage, and they're doing these little music videos for local bands. And they contacted us and wanted us to do it, but when they found out how big we were, they were like, "Oh, I don't know. We really only can have 4 people in there." And so we somehow managed to squeeze 7 people. It's about half the band.
nice.
When they say 4 people to us, that means 7.
Right. So, we could spend the whole time talking about the new CD because it's awesome, but you have been working on a really cool project, the Metamorphosis project. Why don't you tell us about that project?
Wow, it's a big one. So 2 years ago, our close friends David Simon and Andy Jason lost their son to suicide. And it was a very tragic event for our entire community, I think, obviously. Amy and I were some of the first people at their house to help um, start to pick up the pieces, I guess, just to be there. And I think both of us could say it was just hard to get ourselves over there because we knew what we were going to be getting into. Watching a father and mother mourn their son's death, I just can't imagine anything worse. But by being there for the 3 days after that, we also got to see the ecstatic nature of our community coming and picking up the pieces with us and with David and Andy and the Jewish community that they're a part of in their neighborhood. And we all just started to do our best to move on and make the world a better place through tragedy. I decided I wanted to write a work that revolved around that. And it's coming to fruition this weekend. We're starting to rehearse all week for it. And then next week, we perform with our band, Kutandara Marimba Experience, plus the Frequent Flyers aerial dance troupe and the Boulder Chorale, who will be singing. So there will be 25 singers on stage, intermingled with 7 marimbas. And then intertwining with us will be all of these dancers, and then they take off into the air and soar into metamorphosis. It's about a 45-minute work, and we just started rehearsing with the full troupe last week, and it was just a very powerful experience for us all.
Wow, wow. So how long have you been working on that piece of music then?
For 2 years.
For 2 years since that.
Since his death. I'd say 3 days after his death, we were talking with some friends, and I said, I have to write something to commemorate what has just happened with our community and friends. And one of our friends said, oh, you've got to call it Shanduko, which means change or metamorphosis.
Oh, okay.
And we called it Shanduko for probably a year and a half, and just have decided, because of the nature of the work, to actually use the English title, Metamorphosis.
We still call it Shanduko internally, though.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
That's funny. So this is maybe more of a musician question, but for you, as you were writing the piece, how long into it until you realized, or did you know from the beginning that you were going to be incorporating all of this choir? How did that come about? Did it start as a marimba piece, or?
No, the vision of having a large amount of singers and dancers on stage that take off into the air was my first vision. But the piece is it's still changing today as we speak. It's transforming.
What was the most challenging thing? Or I should probably ask you this once it's completed and performed, but so far up to this point, what has been the most challenging?
Well, there's lots of challenging things, but one of the most fun challenging things, we play oral music, the Zimbabwean community. We don't read music, but the choir, they have to read music. And then the dancers, they're on a totally different plane. They're just feeling what happens in the music and makes them move. So to have a rehearsal that takes care of all those different needs,
right,
that's really interesting. So the choir will say, oh, we missed that entrance at measure 233. Can we start at measure 227? And the marimba players are all looking at each other saying, what the hell is 227? So then it takes us a couple minutes to talk about where we can start. Meanwhile, there's people hanging up, 20 feet up going, I can't really make art if I'm just going to hang here while you guys talk. So that's been really fun to try to figure out a process for us all to create art together.
That's great. That's awesome. I can envision it. Are you guys going to video the show for people to see?
We are. We're having a professional videographer we're performing it 6 times. Next weekend, the 12th, 13th, and 14th of April, and then also the following weekend, the 19th, 20th, and 21st. So we'll have it taped 2 different nights, and then he'll edit, a final piece together for commemorating that that partnership with these 3 organizations.
Nice. Well, yeah, I hope the greater Zimbabwean music community gets a chance to check that out. Should be really interesting. So I'm going to play a piece off of the Metamorphosis album. Oh, you have a guest. Hello. And there's... We're going to play Metamorphosis 4, and then in parentheses, Butterfly. Hi.
Hi. Can I watch a little of this before I go play?
Yeah, we're videotaping. You're
This
going to
is
be
for a
on
podcast.
YouTube.
You're on YouTube.
Say hi, Linda.
What's your name, Linda? Hi,
I'm
Linda.
Hi. What is this for that I'm just walked in the middle of?
It's a podcast. Yay! Podcast. And I'll say one thing about the title being Butterfly is that Metamorphosis, when Randy started writing it, it was after Jesse's family had been counseled by their rabbi to envision Jesse's spirit as a kite that they were slowly letting out a kite string for. And that it was part of our duty to help let his spirit transition to the next world. And there was some part of that spoke butterfly to Randy. And Randy and Paul Mataruse actually went out that day and purchased a large butterfly kite to give to David and Andy. And over time, somehow that image of a butterfly has just spoken to us. And Randy actually designed the piece to be done in 5 movements, the life stages of the butterfly. Egg is the first movement. The second movement is caterpillar. The third movement is chrysalis. The fourth movement is butterfly. And then the final movement is called spirit kite. So that's sort of how the piece is constructed. And what we're going to listen to is movement 4, butterfly.
I'm going to add one more thing,
Yes.
which is on this recording, there's no singing. You won't hear any choir. We recorded it without the singing, so you have to hear it live to hear the choir sing. I chose 5 Hebrew healing prayers to add to the mix.
Okay.
So if you want to come to Boulder next weekend, you can hear the singing live.
We got people flying in from all over. Come join us.
That's beautiful. Thank you all so much for doing this. I'm curious, who builds your marimbas? Or are they all Peter, or do you have lots of different people?
Peter Swing. We've used Peter for years and years, and just love his instruments. And so we have 2 studios here, and both of our studios are packed with Peter Swing instruments.
They sound lovely.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah. So we're out of time. We've blown way past the 30-minute idea, which is totally fine because it's so great to get to catch up with all the awesome things you guys are doing. We're gonna put in this will be on the YouTube video, so at the bottom there will be links to the Metamorphosis project and the Kutandara website. And any final words that you'd like to give it to us?
We love what you're doing too, Joel. Thanks for spreading this awesome music and being our friends and being part of our community.
Thank you. Happy to do it. So, and cut.